Hey everybody, Tom here with Hidden Beats, and today we're talking with Mr. Ryan Langdon. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
Pretty good. It's great to get to sit down and have a nice conversation and pick your brain a little bit.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to you.
So obviously we're here to talk about you, your music, and what you do in the world. But for those who are new to the podcast, if you can give a little introduction about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Ryan Langdon. I'm a country artist from the Niagara region. I've been grinding at this for about a good 10 years now. I've had maybe four top 40s on Canadian country radio and just keep grinding every day and putting up music. And I'm so happy that people are digging it.
No, that's what we like to hear, and it's nice to hear new music come across my desk every so often too.
Absolutely. It's nothing better than new music.
hmm So I guess the first question to start off with is how did you get into music? Like what sparked your interest?
Yeah, so like as a young kid, I've always been like that center of attention type kid, always like jumping up on tables, dancing, singing, doing something stupid. And I don't know, I just always wanted to be like in the spotlight. I came from a sports background, played college baseball in the US. And when it was all kind of said and done, I was like, you know what, I'm going to attack my second passion, which in reality, it was very even for me. Music and sports were kind of just on the same level. I started picking up the guitar in high school and singing a few coffee shop things in high school, and the rest was history. I got kind of hooked on it, and once sports were done for me, I said I'm going to attack this full time.
Who are some of your early inspirations that you were listening to really help you jump into this?
Yeah, like for the country world, it was definitely like Jason Aldean, and that was like 2006, seven in high school years. Something about I always loved like rock and country, the mix that just worked so well. And he was kind of like one of the first to kind of really make it like commercialized and radioized, which was really cool. And I would say, yeah, he would probably be my like biggest influence in this country world.
Do you have a favorite album that you picked up that you were like, man, I want to mimic something like this?
That is a great question. Um, I don't know. There's so many good ones that would definitely, I would say like early Brantley Gilbert for me too. Like his first album was such like an inspiration to me because it was very heavy, especially in the country world. And when I heard that one, I was like, whoa, I would love to kind of attack something similar to this.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely brings like heavy, like you said, it's that rock influence country vibe. It's got a nice mix to it.
It's fun to play on stage that those kind of tunes. I always
Mhm.
enjoy like the rock influences, like early influences as well. Like I was a huge Bob Seger guy growing up because of my father. Guns N' Roses, like those were just kind of rock and roll to me was just the coolest genre as a kid. So to be able to kind of infuse country with that, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I gotta love that for sure. I love Bob Seger myself. I used to do the whole like air saxophone solo and old time rock and roll. Like is all kinds of fun with that.
Unbelievable musician, unbelievable artist. That I would put him on the pedestal for me personally as a greatest artist because his songs are just so good
Yeah, they're timeless. You can't not love them.
for sure.
hmm So, what's your thoughts on the music industry today? We're in kind of a really crazy digital era. We got a lot of people releasing singles, things like that. How do you see things going right now?
It's crazy. It's kind of like the Wild West essentially because there's just so many avenues to get exposure now, and I feel like the youth have such an advantage because it's like, they kind of grew up with social media and it's very like easy for them. Like they understand like how to work it and maneuver around it.
Mhm.
Me personally, like in my high school days, we didn't have like Instagram. Facebook just kind of came out and it was very like, used very moderately.
Mhm.
But now I feel like these kids just have such a way better grasp on it. So that I think for me, that's the biggest learning curve is trying to be able to be creative and promote yourself on a platform that's kind of new to I'm in my 30s, so I'm just kind of learning it. I think it's just a different world as an artist.
Mhm.
Um, it used to be about like, having the right song and having a label pick you up. That was the only way you're really going to get exposure. And now I feel like it's so cool because you can be independent and get eyes on you and kind of move up that way. So
Yeah.
it's like a Wild West. It's cool. It's got its pros and it's got its cons, but I think the pros kind of really outweigh the cons right now.
Yeah, for sure. Like I'm hitting 40 this year, so I was at the point where I saw all the stuff coming into play more as in the adult stage of my life and seeing how everything was coming up. And at the at the time, it used to be, you release an album, you do a tour, you do all those fun things, but now you can drop singles left, right, and center and just really maximize your audience that way.
100%. And about the algorithm and playing with that, it's just a different world, and I'm still kind of learning it every single day because it just keeps evolving and changing. So
Hmm.
it's been fun.
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of singles, you have a new one that just dropped, I believe, recently called Whiskey Bottle. How's the story behind that one come out?
Yeah, so I wrote that one with Andrew Martino and Jim Witter. So we did that one in Toronto. So Andrew is the drummer for Down with Webster, who are on tour right now, who are killing it.
Hmm.
So I got to, he kind of was messaging me left, right, and center about coming up with this new kind of genre influence for me because I've always been on the rock side. So he's very hip hop oriented when it comes to his production. So he was like, man, I think we could really fuse the best of both worlds together. And I'm like, yeah, let's try to write something. So we brought in Jim Witter, and he came into the room with this idea called Whiskey Bottle. And he kind of just hummed the melody, and the rest was history. And the line that kind of really stuck out to me the most, it was kind of, it's a song about that's not really like promoting alcohol as like an aid. It's kind of like showing the negatives of it. And most
Hmm.
country songs now are, they lean to more like trying to show the pros of it. And it's like, this is the only way to get over them. In
Yeah.
the sense that at the end of the day, it just makes things worse because it makes you worse as a person because you just kind of get down that rabbit hole, and you're just never really going to get over them until you make yourself better. So we wanted to write something that was just kind of a little different in that regard.
Yeah. My next question actually was, is this having it like some sort of loose influence of something that's happened in your life?
Yeah, oh, I'm a happily married man now, but before that, definitely like relationships were never easy,
Hmm.
especially as an artist that's trying to like work your way up and make it, because you kind of have to be a little selfish because it's such a grind in a hard industry, and you got to put a lot of time and effort into your craft, and sometimes you just don't have those available moments for someone else, so you have to make sure you meet that person at the right time in the right place. So definitely, I've had some moments,
Hmm.
but alcohol definitely never helped me. It just would just make it worse, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people probably have something similar to that in their lives. I know I'm happily married now myself, but there's been some past relationships where you kind of look at it and go, what the hell was I doing? Or something like that with it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just I think it's just kind of common. Everybody, when they get a breakup, they call their friends and they're like, let's go out and have some drinks and it's gonna help me get over them. And it, like I said, it never does. It's gonna take time and
Yeah.
healing for yourself. Like you just have to make yourself better. And I feel like, the ones that find a way of new excitement, get out to the world, enjoy life, maybe start getting into fitness, make yourself feel better about yourself, and you'll kind of move on.
Yeah, for sure. So what's your process like when you're putting together music? Do you have a specific way you like to sit down and write? Do you have kind of weird out of the box things you do?
I honestly, I my new thing is I really love writing to tracks. I used to write just stripped down with acoustic guitar. I kind of have an idea, but I love walking into a room, especially when you're working with producers and they have this like really cool sample or idea. And I always just find I get influenced by that because it always takes me down a different path that I never would have gone my own.
Mhm.
Because when I'm a guitar player, but I'm not the greatest guitar player in the world. There's only so much I can play on that thing. So it kind of keeps me boxed in a little bit with ideas. So when you get to work with someone, especially in the production world, that comes up with this crazy cool concept or sample, it brings you into a new path, which always inspires me. So I think a lot of some of my better songs that me personally, I think came from working with producers that came up with a cool sample.
Okay, no, that's kind of a neat way to do it too, because you're going in and you have to work with what's there really, because it makes you think a little bit differently.
For sure. And you definitely have to like go into a session with an idea. But the great thing of working with people that are in the production world, they just have just a knack to inspire you. It's really cool.
Mhm. Now, what's your favorite part of the whole process if you were to pick between like the live show, the production, or the writing? Like, what's the one that excites you the most?
I would definitely say the live show, like I was telling you earlier, being a center of attention type of kid, performing has always been like my bread and butter. I've been doing it for such a long time now. It's kind of like a part of me. It's in my DNA. It like makes me tick.
Mhm.
So that is hands down the reason why I wanted to do this and get into this world. And it's hard to play. It's hard to get out and get shows nowadays too after COVID. So it's been kind of like a different process for me because I've been probably more writing and getting into the studio more than performing, which is it's kind of like a different world for me, but I'm enjoying it. But it's I need to get back out there and do some more shows because like I said, my DNA is performing.
Yeah, there's nothing like a live show experience, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's kind of like one of those things I feel like there needs to be more of it.
100%. Yeah. And it's nice when festival season comes up because there's always so much to pick from and go experience different things. But then after that, there's like a lull of nothing for a while.
And it used to be about the live performance. Like that's how people got exposed and got new fan base. And it's not like that anymore. It's more about like Spotify and streaming. That's how people kind of find you now.
Yeah. Little bit different these days.
Yep.
Now, I'm curious, how do you think your music has evolved if we go back to 2020's Lit in the Sticks, for instance, compared to, today's release? How has your music evolved in that sense?
I would say it's definitely got a little bit more mainstream for sure. I've always been a believer in like as an artist, you kind of have to evolve the genre, especially the country genre is always changing. It's always going in new directions. And if you don't evolve, the industry is just gonna leave you behind. So it's always great for me, and I always have a lot of fun trying to, blend in with new genres. I love rock and roll. I'm still gonna release rocks country songs, but I've been having a blast just kind of trying to write more of the pop radio um, songs because I feel like it's very challenging. It's not easy. It sounds like it's easy, but it's not because it's all about being as catchy as possible, but having like a story that everybody can relate to, and I think that's super important.
Yeah, there's no way I think I could sit down and write a song. I don't know if I could put that thought process together to come up with something that seems that catchy or anything. It just you guys when you're doing things like that, it always blows my mind of where you can pull some of these inspirations from and put together just a great piece of music.
I bet you could write something. It's always inspiring getting to work with like such great writers because they're so good at their craft. I like when they walk into a room and you start writing, you're like, how do you just come up with some of these lyrics? They're just like on the off the cusp. But
Mhm.
I think it's years and years of writing. They get the experience, and I think that's what I always tell like new people that are trying to get into songwriting. It's like you got to do it every day. Super
Yeah, the
important,
practice is huge, I would
like
think.
a muscle, right? Like the more you do it, the better you're going to be at it. And same with singing. You gotta sing as much as possible. So I think it's super important to kind of stay on it.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everything evolves. Like my interviews, for instance, like I look back at some of the first ones I did and went, "Holy crap!" Like I look horrible. That's so cringy feeling. Just not having a good time with it. But things grow and evolve and get a little bit better.
Absolutely. Same when I started music. Like I bet you if I had footage from when I first started, I would be very cringy.
Mm.
Wouldn't want to watch it. So yeah, that's I think the whole process. It's like you start from somewhere and it's the grind and it's improving every single day until you're, you know, adequate enough to make a living at it. So
Mm. Now, what would you say is the most interesting thing you've learned about yourself through the music growth and through your career so far?
I would definitely say that it's the perseverance side of it. I coming from a sports background, I do not like to lose. It's the hardest thing for me. It's like I don't know. I get like a twitch when I lose. It's like stay away from me for a couple days when I was playing, just like because it's hard for me. And
Hmm.
the industry is like you're trying to work for a goal, and you just kind of keep going up and down, up and down, up and down. And I feel like that for me is like the biggest accomplishment is to be able to like accept that and kind of just grow with it. And I've kind of learned to appreciate the process and just kind of keep my head down and just keep moving forward and have some fun with it. And I think if like 10 years ago that happened to me, I don't know if I could handle it. I don't think I would be able to handle the industry like I can now, which is pretty cool.
Hmm. So outside of the industry being as crazy as it is, what do you do to keep grounded? I'm assuming you spend time with the family mainly and things like that.
Absolutely. I just had a daughter a year ago, so she's really helped with that, keeping me grounded. Definitely, I'm a big like I love fitness. I love going to the gym every day. I need it. If I don't do it, I feel like absolute crap, and it just really helps keep the brain sharp. And I don't know, it just makes me feel good. So that's super important to me, and just friends. You need your friends in your life, and my friends I feel like are the coolest because they're just straight shooters. They don't bullshit me, and they just kind of keep me level headed. So you need people like that.
Mhm. And being a girl dad definitely makes things interesting. I have my daughter will be 2 in November, so
Oh, amazing.
yeah, and we're expecting our little boy coming up in October now.
Oh, congratulations. October. I love that month.
Hmm. It's crazy
October.
because it's my wife's birthday, October 1st, and the baby's due like within a week after that. So
Oh, nice. My birthday's October 8th. So we'll see. Maybe born on the same day.
yeah, we'll have a double birthday there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it is. It's a different world when you become a girl dad because I made a joke the other day about like once you have a kid and then you find out it's a girl, it's like, wow, this is exciting. But then you start thinking about, oh, wait till she gets older and the boys, and you definitely get some crazy thoughts running through your mind. So
I'm
I'm
right there
trying
with you on that one. Yeah, as
to.
soon as I found out a girl is like, oh God, I have to go buy a gun now. Just,
Yeah, 100%. I've
yeah,
been going to the gym 6 days a week just to keep sharp. And I'm like, I'm gonna lose weight because just in case like somebody comes in her life that's like really fast, I can chase them down too. So I think that's super important. You can be as big as you want, but if you can't catch them, it doesn't do you any good. So
yeah, exactly. I'm in probably the better shape of my life I've been in a long time now. I think because of partially doing things like that and thinking in those ways too. It's like, oh God, what do I have to do now?
yeah, absolutely. It's good. It's good for you, I think.
Mhm. So the back half of my interviews, I always ask some maybe outside the box questions, a couple fun ones, make you think. And I think this one's probably my favorite. What's one thing you think should be asked more in an interview that's not asked enough?
Whoa, that is a great question that I've never thought of in my life. So um I don't know. That's crazy. That's a crazy good question. Maybe just I don't know. That is the hardest question I've ever been asked because like I've been asked a lot of crazy questions. So
Hmm.
on the spot, I couldn't tell you.
Now, okay, you can look at it two ways, I guess. Maybe something that people haven't asked you that you'd like to talk about, or something if you're watching an interview that you might want to know about someone specific.
I would definitely like so for me personally, like I've always talked about my sports background essentially, but no one's really got in depth about it. Or I feel like the music industry is like it's more about the music. I think sports is definitely a part of me
Hmm.
and kind of who I originally was. And I feel like a lot of country artists, especially in the US, come from a sports background. So I would say, like, honestly, that's probably be the only thing I would think about at this point that I don't really get asked about.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's you're looking at music-based stuff and you have kind of a guided interview that you're looking at, so you don't see those as often.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely like sports and music go hand in hand. And I feel like that's why you see a lot of artists that do come from the sports background because you always see like an athlete wants to be a musician and a musician wants to be an athlete. It
Hmm.
always works like that. Everybody I talk to says the same thing. So I always find that's a kind of a funny thing when that happens. But
Well,
that might be the hardest question I've ever been asked. Like I've never really thought about that.
and that's why I asked that one at the start of the back half because it makes you think a little bit more, and then you might come up with something right at the end and go, "Wait, this needs to be asked."
For sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Or like I might think of something like 3 days from now.
Yeah, then just send me a
Yeah.
message and be like, "Hey, you need to ask this one next time."
Yeah, for
I've actually
sure.
had people do that too. Like I'll get an Instagram message later on and be like, "Oh, I thought of this one."
Yeah, yeah, that was a tough question.
So here's a fun one then. Who plays you in the movie of your life?
Whoa.
Now this is your movie. You get to pick whoever you want.
So, like, honestly, like when I used to be told like 5, 6 years ago that I look like Chris Pratt a little bit. So like I feel like he would probably be the closest resembled to me to play
Okay.
me. Um, being a ginger, that's kind of a hard question because there's not a whole lot of my mother always used to say this about me. I'm very unique looking. There's not a whole lot of people in the world that look like me. And I always when you find another ginger, they'll be like, "You look like that guy," and then you're like, "What guy?" And you're like, "Oh, that ginger guy." And then you see a picture of him. You look nothing like them, but just because you had red hair, you're kind of in the same world. I always found that. But Chris Pratt was one that I used to get a lot, so I'll go with him playing
Mhm.
me.
Now, do you think he could like do you justice musically?
I've never seen him sing, so I have no idea. But I think he could pull it off. He's got a good personality, and yeah, I think he could do it.
I think that'd be a fun one for sure. And
Yeah.
like I feel you with the ginger thing too. I don't look at as much these days, but this beard's pretty orange in the sun sometimes.
I can see it a little bit. I always like talking to fellow gingers. You don't get it a lot enough.
That's why I'm in like my office. There's no windows in here because the sun's just extra for me sometimes.
That's crazy. And the crazy thing, so like everybody thought that my daughter was going to be redhead, and my wife's like brunette. And for some reason, my daughter has blonde hair right now. So we're like, what's going on? Like it's weird, weirdest thing. So
In my family, there's always just one redhead per family unit, and it just seems like there's never any extras. There's always just the one. So like everyone else, like my mom, dad, everyone is dark or brunette hair, and then there's just me with the orange. Same with cousins and things like that. There's just one redhead, and that's it. No one else.
that's like me. I'm like the only one. I don't know. Like people over like, where did this redhead? My mom's got like she's Scottish blood, so it definitely probably came from that side of the world. But yeah, I'm the only one. So that
Yeah,
I know of.
it's interesting, anyways, when you think about that stuff.
It's very interesting. It's like what under a percent of the world is redheaded. It's nuts.
Apparently, I was reading something or heard something yesterday that there is a mutation that's been they found way back in ancestry DNA type of stuff. There's one single mutation that turned the redheaded thing on for people. So everyone's technically related to a single ancestor.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they're weird things that you can find out when you just go down rabbit holes on the internet, really.
100%. Yep. I've found that out.
hmm So another fun one for you. What's your favorite like food you have to have on the road?
Ooh, I'm a big carnivore, so anything meat, but like chicken or like steak, definitely. I honestly I could literally just eat meat all day. So I'm
I
not like
mean,
a big carb person. Like I love sweets and carbs and stuff, but I need to eat at least like 80% of my diet needs to be meat. I just love it.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm right on the exact same page with you there. Like I could eat chicken wings every meal for the rest of
Oh,
my life and
that
have
is my
no
all-time
problems.
favorite meal is there's nothing better than chicken wings. And I went to school in Buffalo, New York, so
Mm,
I got to experience like the best of the best like all the time. I still do. I love chicken wings.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, meat sen see, now I wanna go have a steak or something like that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. No, that's my final answer. It might be boring to some people, but no,
Hey, I
that,
like it, that's for sure.
yeah.
Now, important one, back in a little bit on the music side of things. What do you hope people take away from your music?
I just hope they hear some like sincerity and they can kind of relate to what I'm talking about, not like the great thing is every song that I've put out in the last, year or so has got a little bit of a different story. It used to be always about the party and having a good time. But I just want people to kind of feel that, they have somebody to talk to if they're down or they need, to get inspired or motivated. There's a song there for them or they want to have a good time, there's a song there for them as well. And I'm just like I'm a down to earth type of guy. I'm very blue collar in that sense where I work with my hands. I'm like the guy that lives next door to you. I just when they hear my music, I hope they kind of understand that there's a lot of sincerity to what I'm singing.
Mhm. Now, for a brand new person, never heard your music before, what's the first song they have to listen to?
Ooh, I would say definitely Lit and Sticks because that kind of is like the song that really kind of helped push the needle. But my favorite personally is Bad Choices. I love that song. I got to work with some cool people on that. Steve Malella from Finger 11, the drummer, produced it. And same with Andrew Martino from Down with Webster. So to be able to work with those two guys and kind of infuse like a rock country song, that to me is my favorite song.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's always interesting. It's like you have to pick your favorite child that someone
Yeah.
has to be first. So it's interesting hearing, and this might change, next year where you're like, oh, I listened to that again and I like this one better.
Yeah, absolutely. I like I said earlier, I'm a huge rock country guy. So
Mhm.
my favorite songs, usually for me personally, are the ones that kind of lead towards more of the rock side. It's just they're fun to play, they're enjoyable, and I feel like the stories. I love making songs that like motivate, inspire, make people kind of want to, go through the day and run through a wall. Like
Mhm.
those are my favorite songs. So.
Yeah, those are great ones. And speaking of motivation, what keeps you motivated to keep walking the musical road you're walking?
I would definitely now it's my family and my daughter. I think, when you have a kid, it's you're no longer just about you. It's about her and putting food on the table every day and just kind of getting down to business. I think definitely she's my biggest motivation and I definitely want to see her be able to watch me kind of grow in this industry and become something. So I definitely think she's my biggest motivation right now.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect motivation, really.
Yeah.
Now, last question and probably the most important of everything is, are you happy?
I'm very happy. I would say the last year has definitely been like one of my more happier years in a while. Obviously, COVID, like that put a lot of people down, and I found that the following year was really hard to kind of bounce out of it. It just kind of put you in this like, all right, shut down world, and then everything kind of restarted up, and I felt flat-footed. Like I felt like it was hard to kind of get my feet out of the mud, essentially.
Mhm.
And this past year, having my daughter and things kind of being like, back to normal essentially. It was just really, really awesome, and I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people had kind of like almost gun shy of how to jump back out and get started and do things and just not sure how to navigate the world. So now that we're getting back into like a regular routine and things are kind of popping up a bit more, it makes life a little bit easier to take a breath with.
Absolutely, yeah. It definitely was a culture shock when things kind of were like open back up. It's like really, like I can go out. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was weird, and like you almost like forgot how to do just like basic things, like with people around you.
Hmm.
Thing, like being able to go out with, it was always like limited people, but then all of a sudden you had like a swarm of people. You're like, whoa, I got to get used to this again.
Yeah.
So
I remember my first concert 'cause, like, so the main thing I do is actual like live coverage of shows and photography. So my first concert back out of COVID was, I think, Billy Talent, and then seeing that many people all in one spot was almost intimidating at the time.
yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And like engaging with people. And yeah, I don't know, like it was definitely COVID was not fun at
Hmm.
all. I've talked to people and they're like, I actually like COVID. I'm like, you're crazy. Stay away from me.
Well,
Because it
there's
was,
parts of so for me, COVID, like I typically was an introvert. I didn't do as much, like, I go to my shows, things like that. But for me, the lack of contact wasn't a big deal. But
yeah.
then finding stuff to do, like I watched all of Netflix. Like there was nothing else to do at the point, and so it was hard to do that for me.
Well, I think that was the hardest part is the Netflix for me. It's like I can't watch anymore. And then nothing new was being made. So like
Exactly.
it was just like once you watched it, it was like, and no new movies were coming out. It was hard. Like for
Mhm.
me, I'm a very like can't sit still type of person too. So to be told to like I gotta stay home and not do anything, that was tough.
Yeah. Well, we're out of it now, at least, and we're back into doing some fun things.
Absolutely.
Well, my friend, that's all I have written down here. Is there any final words of wisdom you'd like to leave to people?
I just want to tell people just to keep on going and keep your head up. Life is it's a grind, but you know what? Not everybody in the world gets to you know sit on a podcast and talk to people or watch podcast, and it's just enjoy life every single day, and I appreciate everybody listening to my music, and it really means a lot to me. So thank you.
Mhm. So we have the new single that just dropped. What's next on the docket for you?
We got a couple new things. Been working on some new songs. So potentially we're just kind of working out which ones we want to release, and probably another cover song. I released a No Diggity cover about a month and a half ago now,
Yeah, I
and
listened to that. I love that one.
thank you. It's done pretty well. So
Mhm.
we're thinking about maybe releasing a kind of a follow up cover, and just kind of narrowing down which one we want to do. So
Well, I'm
stay.
definitely I love a good cover song, so I'm definitely interested in that.
Oh yeah.
Well, we'll call it here, and you can enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll get to do this again, I'm sure. It's always nice to catch up with people.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pleasure. It was a lot of fun. Thank you very much for doing it.
Yeah, no problem. And where can people find you on social media?
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, kind of the usual. It's my hashtag is be like the Ryan Langdon. It's super easy to find. I'm the only Ryan Langdon ginger, probably.
That's easier. That's easier to find. There's been a couple people where I've had to go really searching because there's like 13 artists with the same names, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's tons of Ryan Langdons out, but I haven't found a redheaded one yet. So
Well, there you go. You got that for you.
yeah,
All right, man. We'll have a good one, and we'll keep in touch.
sounds good. Thank you, dude.
All right, later.